Knicks fans, what's going on? It's Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises.
I'm Stephanie from the Queen's Court and Dope Soul Sports Talk.
That's right, and this is the
The
crossover.
crossover,
Thank you guys for joining me, Queen. Once again, thank you for joining. This
of
is
course,
this is been a great experience doing this show with you, and
definitely.
especially since we're like minded, but we don't agree on everything. So,
Yeah, we don't.
um, today I wanted to talk about the front office making an appearance at the playoff game for the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz, and what we think that meant, and then also Julius Randle happened. Well, we don't know. Did he happen to be there as well? Was he
Hmm.
there with them? Was that part of some kind of plan?
Oh, that's true.
We'll speculate and see what that might have meant. Um, Definitely surprised to see Randall. I read the reports of the Knicks front office scouting, or going to see Brunson.
Hmm.
Um, but didn't really read the article or anything. And then when I finally did get around to it, I seen a clip of they had Randall in the stands with the red circle around him and
Hmm.
the arrow pointing at him, like
Hmm.
Randall. And I'm like, oh wow, he was at the game too. And then I did some more digging and see the picture with him and World Wide West. So at the very least, if they didn't go together, they definitely acknowledged each other while there.
Hmm.
Um, so I wanted to definitely get your thoughts on that. What did you think when you heard about it, saw it, read about it, and then did you come up with any wild analogies or speculations, stories? Because I got a
Yeah.
couple of theories.
Well, I don't know if it's going to beat yours, but I will say that the first thing I thought was after they're there to scout Brunson, Sim brought up a good point about Donovan Mitchell. I wasn't even thinking about Donovan Mitchell. But the other thing I thought was the Knicks are not staying pat. I mean, that's been one of the things we've been talking about in the chats, that the Knicks should just run it back with this team. A lot of fans are saying minus Randall, that IQ is ready to start. Obi's ready to start. We don't really need to bring anybody in, get rid of the vets, and let these young players rock. But when I seen them at the game, I'm thinking that that's not the direction that the Knicks are going. They're looking to upgrade. They didn't go there looking for any rookies. You
Yeah.
know, they went there looking for Brunson. Looking for Donovan Mitchell, and Randall being there. You know what just came to mind? Now he's from Dallas. He could have been back there visiting family. Went to the game, knew the Knicks were going to be there, so went to chomp it up with them.
Hmm.
But, but it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility that they went there to talk to Randall about his season.
Yeah.
You would have think they addressed that also in the season ending meetings, but it's possible that they went there, to kind of talk to him, about that, about the season, coming up, in addition to watching the game, since they knew they were going to be there.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
definitely didn't think about that, and that makes sense. But let's go with your theory
Hmm.
first, and if that was the case,
Hmm.
it was in good faith, right? Because otherwise, why do it publicly? You know what I mean? Why
Yeah. Hmm.
invite him to the game, or whatever the case may be?
Hmm.
Do it behind closed doors. So you know if that was the case, that would be a good sign. I mean, maybe not for some Knicks fans who want him gone, but for Randall and them
Hmm.
trying to uh figure out how to move forward
Hmm.
in the relationship. So very very interesting. Um, one of the theories, one of the first things that came to my mind was, you know, that was Randall. scouting his new teammate or his new team. So, like, that was the first thing that I thought of. Like, was he looking and trying to see how he possibly fits back home in Dallas with that team in that situation, and in a potential, trade, and if so, that maybe would go into what you just said
Hmm.
about them talking about the season and moving forward.
Right.
Um, but at least with him, you know what I mean, like,
Hmm.
and working it out together, and not just trying to cut ties by any means necessary.
Yeah, because
Um,
I would think if they knew they were cutting ties with him, I think it would be pretty uncomfortable to go to Dallas and meet with him. Well, I don't know if they met with him, but to chomp it up like that, knowing that you know that you would, well, you already know that you're going to trade him.
I mean,
Nah.
not here's the thing though. If they're working it out together, right? Let's
Hmm.
say two things. The speculation that he asked for a trade is true, right? And now you're working with him, right? Or you're saying these are some of the options of ways where things we would pursue, and he's sitting down like, hey, we might move you to Dallas. What do you think of it? That's where you're from.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And now he's looking at it as to say, all right, let me see how I would fit in this offense, in this defense, up close and personal, like in the playoff experience, all that. So that was one
Hmm.
way, and then
Hmm.
the other side is just, let me see what Brunson brings to the table. If I know you guys are pursuing him, so I mean that was the main two things that. Hold on one
That
second,
you that
excuse
you
me.
got that you got from it. I mean, I don't know if that's rare. I think it stood out for me because it was the Knicks. Maybe that happens a lot where the front office goes to playoff games. You know, um, you know, I don't know if they're doing that to scout a player or if they're doing that just because they enjoy it. But it was just telling for me that they were there.
Nah, it's definitely work. It's not personal
Yeah.
pleasure or whatever. You know what I mean? That's work. I think I don't know how public they were trying to be, and if that was
Hmm.
intentional, wanting to be seen so that they could say they're working. But that
Yeah.
it, that could be the case too.
Hmm.
Also the rumors of Mitchell, I think they was there for Brunson, but Mitchell playing was a plus for them. Seeing them kind of head to head at times and moments, and just seeing, you know, maybe one has to be pursued before the other and of more importance, and things of that nature. So
Hmm.
I thought it was very very interesting, and I think it was great to see them out there. Um yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think for me, and I know a lot of the fan base is not gonna agree with this. There was a caller on the MBK show, and he voiced my sentiments exactly. Or was it Mark? I think it was Mark. I'm tired of losing. I want to put together a winning team. And as much as I like IQ and our young guys, I like them in their places. And as part of the rotation. And the thought of going with young guys, I got to be honest, it's just depressing to me. I know some people are excited about that opportunity to run the young guys out there. For me, it's a depressing thought. I got to be honest. Um, and so when I'm seeing them at the game, I get excited because they don't talk a lot. Leon Rose did give that interview to MSG, Mike Breen, but they don't really talk a lot. So when I saw that was like an indication of the direction in which they might be moving. And I, for one, got a little excited. Like, oh, okay. They either going to bring in Brunson or they here to look at Donovan just in case. Listen, things may not work out either way,
Either way, yeah.
but that's what they're thinking. So yeah.
No, I think it was great. Shout out to the chat. I see you guys. Appreciate you. But we trying to keep it short and sweet.
I got the chat. Don't worry.
Steph is throwing y'all up there. So salute to y'all for sure. Um, goals for the front office. For the Knicks as a
Hmm.
team this off season. And then we're gonna pick two players. I'm gonna pick a player. You're gonna pick a player. We're gonna highlight some individual goals for
Hmm.
whichever player we pick.
Hmm.
For the off season going into the season. So what would be your number one goal for the front office? It's probably the same as mine, but I'm gonna let you lead in your number one goal for the front office.
Yeah. There's two of them that's running neck and neck. One of them is to address the Randle situation. He doesn't have to be traded, but he cannot come back the way he was. And I don't really know how to you. I think I mentioned this before. I don't even know how you ensure that his mind is going to be in the right place. You just talk to him and you hope that it is. So I think that's a tough spot for them, trusting if he tells them I'm going to be better, you don't have to worry about it, this that, they're going to have to trust that. The
Now
sec
let
Oh.
me ask you this about that. Do you think that needs to be some some way or somehow made
No, no,
public?
no, no, no. It doesn't have to be public. They just need
Um,
to address it.
okay.
I just need to see a different Randall if he's on this team. I don't know how they do it. The second thing that's neck and neck with that is a point guard, especially if Randall is going to be back. I just think that he has too much playmaking responsibility. His decision making is not that great. And I think that if we bring in a point guard, it allows him, it takes some responsibility off of him. And I think he'll be much more efficient or have the chance to be much more efficient.
You know, it's mind-boggling to me.
Hmm.
My number one for the front office is also a point guard, but it's so mind-boggling to me how well we did with a guy that probably received more hate than Randall at point guard in Alfred Payton with all his limitations. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And you would think you don't have to improve much from that to be that good, right? To be that
Hmm.
steady, if anything, right? So it's like, what do you do? Do you swing for the fences? Do you try to hit a home run? Do you go for lower ceiling, but maybe Iron Man type longevity? Somebody who's just gonna be
Hmm.
solid for you know
Hmm.
for a good couple of years.
At the point guard position, you're talking.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because even with, I mean, I didn't really get to see the Mavs game. I was at work, so but I definitely heard about it. I heard about it from all types of angles, and I looked at highlights. Did you see the game or did you just see the
I saw the
highlights?
second half.
All right.
I saw the second half again.
Let me ask you. Were you sold? I know you liked him, but were you sold on him before? Did this performance do anything for your opinion?
No, I was already sold on him for what he brings. I think that the fan base is going to be disappointed if they're expecting like somebody like Colin Sexton, a ball dominant, get in the lane, scoring type of point guard. He's not that. So I already knew what to expect. I think to me it was just My concern was, can he lead a team by himself
Mm.
without Luca, without Luca being there? And this was just one night. But in a playoff game at home, you down one, you lose this game, you go to Utah, your season could be over. And for him to come out and play like that, I'm always impressed when the lights are brightest and players perform. So it was impressive, but I was sold on him even before that.
See, here's the thing. I wasn't sold on him, to be
Hmm.
honest. Like I was I wouldn't be mad at him,
Hmm.
but I just wasn't sure. And my biggest question mark was, how does he fit with Randle? Because I was always of the thinking that Randle needs to be led by somebody he respects. Otherwise, there's going to be some type of turmoil. And I was saying this before this year's, you know, off court issues or non basketball issues with Randall. So I could only imagine, if what I was thinking before was true, knowing what I know now. But that also makes it interesting that, was he at this game taking a look at Brunson
Hmm.
with the front office saying, "Hey, this is somebody with definitely considering bringing in. You know, we need you to believe that it could work for it to work, and maybe him trying to figure out, if it's something that he felt comfortable um
Hmm.
letting someone lead, because that was my problem. I thought Brunson didn't have the cliche to demand the respect from Randall to get the ball away from him and give it to him when need be. You know what I mean? Because I
I
think
do.
ultimately that's what Randall needs.
But you know what, Tone? I think this is the issue. This is the issue with Randall. We got to bring somebody in he respects. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do that because he doesn't want to give that he's not that guy. He doesn't want to give that up. And in a way, I like that mentality. But in another way, it can hurt us as a team. That's why I think the coaching staff has to step in. And as much as I love Tibbs, I'm a Tibbs supporter.
Mm-hmm.
One mistake, and I don't think it's just his mistake, the front office too, because there's been situations where a front office person would talk to a player, not holding Randall accountable. It's one thing to talk to him, and I'm sure they've talked to him behind scenes and what
Mm-hmm.
have you. But it's another thing to say, okay, we talked to you. Doesn't seem like anything is happening. The next time it happens, we're gonna have to sit you down. You understand what I'm saying? Like that they allowed that to run rampant. So now we gotta bring in this strong-minded point guard because Randall is not gonna listen. I think that's on the coaching staff.
I mean, I think you're taking what I said to the extreme.
Hmm.
I was looking at it the way you said how you like it and you don't like it. I was more to say it's the same way. I like it and I don't like it, but I don't dislike it as much as as strongly as
Okay.
you. Like,
Okay.
um and I don't know if I like it more than you do,
Hmm.
but I like it in the sense that he's not gonna just give up his spot, his role. You know what I mean?
No, no, no. I
And,
know. I know.
and again, maybe this was him trying to open his eyes and take a look and see what. Let me see what this guy has. You know what I mean? Like
You got to earn it. He's not gonna
the
give it to you. You got to
yeah,
earn it.
and maybe the front office has said something. Maybe they said something early in the trade deadline or something, like, so he knows it's been going around or whatever, and he's like, "Yo, it's gonna be real this time. Let me invest myself, even if it is, whether it's giving up the role or not, just looking into the idea of it and doing the research. And like, to me, that's a good thing.
Hmm.
If that's what he's doing. Um, but it could have been the whole other way. I had another speculation, but I'm not even gonna really get into that because it's just wild thoughts. But yeah, I don't know. I like the fact that the front office is doing some due diligence at the very least. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if Randall was involved, I think it's a good thing. Still,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. I think it goes both ways. It shows them investing in, showing them they're invested in him, and him vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, um, that was my thoughts on that. Um, and point guard definitely the most important position. What do you think is gonna happen with this draft pick? Because to me, I don't think it's of very much importance. I think is more of a trade asset than anything else, simply because we bring in a rookie, whether it's 11th, 12th picks, whether we fall forward and get the 7th pick. I don't think that pick uh, is going to be automatically in the rotation. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think he's going to automatically get uh, playing times. He may be in the G League. We have, like you said, a plethora of
Mm-hmm.
young players already that have yet to establish themselves in the rotation and where they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
fall in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna bring in another one. I think at the very least, if they can't use it in something big, they use it to fall back in the draft and grab somebody who is less likely to be um favored to get playing time. But some of these Knicks fans,
Mm-hmm.
they still gonna want them to play, or future future first round picks or whatever the case. But I don't think they keep it at all. Um, unless somehow they jump to the top three.
The Well, I think there are multiple options on the table. It's an 11th pick, but also in a draft that's not very strong, right? So in last year's draft, it would be interesting where that player would be, right? I agree with you. I don't see them adding them to this bunch, but if he's a really good player and they think he's a rotation player and they move off of some of these young guys, I think they would keep him because there would be room then. But to just add him here, wait, we got 8 players under 25. It wasn't until I did the show that I realized that. 8 players under 25. So we're talking about 9. I don't,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, I think that should be a priority too. Not only getting a point guard, but moving off of Kemba Walker. I think that should be like a no brainer. It goes without saying, I should say, but I think they have to do that. But I also think they have to open up another position, another spot, and
Hmm.
remove some of the glut somehow in some way.
Hmm.
So that means moving on from probably at least 2 players
Hmm.
other than Kemba Walker
Hmm.
somehow, some way. Um, Mitch might be one of them. They may just let him walk. To me, that's a mistake.
Hmm.
To me, you should have got 2 second round picks if that's all you could get, moving him and letting somebody eat 2 million. Because I'm sure there was a plethora of teams that would have did that. Um, yeah, but what spot you think is the most important position that needs to be opened up?
A wing position, a wing position. RJ is going to play one of those spots, two or three, depending on who the size of the other person. So at that wing position, there's RJ, there's Cam, there's Fournier, there's Burks, and there's Grimes, right? There's five um, players for that position. So I think you need to move one of them because even you can even add quickly if Rose is back, he's gonna man that unless they start IQ and Rose backs him
Listen,
up, then we don't have to worry about it'll be five.
it
But if
don't
they
even
bring
matter
in a
if Rose is back or they bring in a point guard. I don't see quickly even.
right, that's what I'm saying. If they bring in a point guard, then it's six people that's gonna play on the wing because quickly usually would play on the wing, in that second unit. So they do need to move some players. Um, Rayology in the chat brought up a good point that the Knicks have to decide, are you going to be a play-in team or a playoff team? And I think that guides your decisions. If you're going to be, or you're not even trying to make the playoffs, you're just trying to develop, then don't bring in a point guard. Put quickly at the one, right?
Mm,
Um, and move off of the vets, and that opens up a lot of space if you can. Move on from Fournier, move on from Burks. That opens up space for Grimes. That opens up space for Cam, either starting or in that second unit.
this is the third option, right? This is like just play.
Right,
Uh,
just play the youth. But I just don't think the front office is going to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't. I mean, that they've come out, they're on record as saying they were disappointed in the season they had last year. They thought they would take the next step. They're at the Utah game, and like you said, they're not there for pleasure. They're there for business. You know what I mean? So I think I think just being a OKC or Detroit or Orlando, that's off the table.
Yeah, and
The, the,
I wouldn't even compare us to them now. With this year.
no, 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 no. If they
Okay.
sold all of the vets and they went was young, that's kind of how I would see the team in that mold. If you make the playoff, that's great. That's an overachievement. But if you don't, doesn't matter as long as you develop. I think the Knicks are going to try to make the playoffs. I think that's what they're trying to do, and I agree. The Eastern Conference is loaded. Who would the Knicks even? What would the Knicks have to bring in to unseed one of those teams? Maybe Charlotte, right? Who went down, didn't play that well in the playoff game against Atlanta.
Mm.
Maybe if they brought in some, maybe that's going to be a tough role. That's going to be tough. You're going to have to you're going to have to
I
bring
mean,
in.
how many games will be removed from the playing?
I think we were about 4.5, 5.5 games out. I'll look right now. And then we could talk about how many games we gave up. I'm sure those players in front of us gave up some games, gave up some games too.
I feel like anybody that lost to us, right, probably feel like they gave up a game right there, right?
We were six games out.
Oh wow.
We were 6 games out.
Okay.
So if we're trying to make the playoffs,
I mean,
who who you moving out your vets for the young players, then you're not trying to make the playoffs.
so what is the solution? Not
Right.
you think
That's
staying
my
pat?
show
You think
tomorrow. Make
you
sure
think?
you listen to it.
I'm like, you think staying pat? You think staying pat is the solution, and we
No,
underachieved?
no,
I'm asking because I typically felt like we underachieved this year. I think we
okay.
overachieved last year. We underachieved this year. I think our truth is somewhere in the middle, which would be a play-in team. You know whether like I'm not gonna say who we bumped. I think our record would have bumped whoever it was. You know what I mean? I think we're better than we shown this year, and we're not quite as good as we shown last year. Um, but it's tough because the East definitely got better, and I think this year and last year we should have been play inbound, and we just what I mean. We lucked out a little last year, and I think we didn't get as lucky this year. You know what I mean? A lot of things didn't fall our way this year. COVID, injuries, etc., etc. Last year, COVID barely touched us.
Yeah. I agree with Rayology. I don't see us being better than any of those teams that made the playoffs unless we bring in impact talent like a D Mitch.
Wait,
Listen,
when you say playoffs, though, you mean 6 seed or better, or you mean the
even the
even
playing,
even 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 play in contention?
even
Because
playing,
mm, that's
even playing. Because
that's
look,
crazy.
even at our best, who do you think we would be better than? Atlanta, Cleveland,
Not,
Brooklyn?
not for nothing. In a play in situation, it's one game, right? So at
No, no,
that
no, no, no.
point,
Who would we unseed to get into the playoffs? Meaning, if we get in, one of those teams would not have been in. So who would we potentially unseed to get in the playoffs?
you're missing what I'm saying. For us to unseed them, we would have to beat them. It's not. It would have to be a matchup. So we would
No,
have
no,
to
no, no.
play the.
Not unseat them in the play-in.
But that's the way I'm thinking of. In the playing, you get all you have to do is win 2 games basically. If you're the lower of the 2 seeds, but
Right?
if you're one of the other two, you know what I mean. You just got to win one. At
But you
that
got to
point,
get in.
it
That's
changes
the
the game. That's what.
it. I agree. I'm not arguing with you. I agree
I,
with you. What I'm
so
saying is, I don't know if our team is good enough to get in
I
to finish in the top 10. Is what
I
I'm
I,
saying.
I beg to differ. I have, and again, I'm not just looking at this year. I'm looking at the combination of the two, and meeting somewhere in the middle.
But we don't
Um,
have those players from last year. We don't have that defense. We don't have that chemistry. Now maybe next year we will, we'll have chemistry.
I think removing Kimber Walker again. I'm not saying nothing's gonna change, but removing Kimber Walker is gonna be a plus in the chemistry department. I think
But
D
Tony,
Rose not being D Rose
we
not.
removed him, and it didn't help the chemistry.
I think what happened after we removed him, D Rose went out. if if it wasn't, yeah, it was after. You know what I mean? So I think if we had D Rose again, that would have changed things. Uh, I think we weren't that far removed, but we had some circumstances that I have to factor that in. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Now, granted, is Rose gonna be healthy? Now I'm thinking like you last year with you know what I mean? Like, do I even
Yeah.
factor in Rose moving forward? You know what I mean? How
Right. I'm
excuse me.
this
So
this is what I think. I don't think the young core is getting us in the playoffs. And I have serious questions about whether even our vets can get us in. I think we need talent on this team. I think we need some more talent on this team. And if Randall is not traded, he needs to come back on a different level in order for the Knicks to make the playoffs. If Randall comes back like he was here this year, we're not making the playoffs again because he's a big part of the team if he returns. And that puts a lot of pressure on other players if he's not playing up to par to really come through for us.
I'm trying to think of what additions are out there. And I mean,
Right? You're right. You're right.
not even to say that because I think the additions are out there, especially with the number of expiring contracts we have. Now, are we going the route of moving our expirings but attaching first round picks to get Miles Turner. You know what I mean? Like, I, so basically, not swing for the fence moves, but building blocks,
Hmm.
and then betting on a better chemistry than the team he came from. And when I say that, I mean like the 3 years prior with Indiana, not just the ending situation. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like, but again, moving Randle, I, if we move Randle, I think we're taking a step back. I can't imagine, and again, unless it's for a superstar
Well,
in the package,
you're not getting a superstar back for Randall, but how about a starter?
a,
Like, I don't think you should move him for like a first round pick and a bench player. Like,
name me five guys you would you would like think you could think that all right they're a starter. I would take them in a package for Randall.
oh, I could think of 10. Listen,
Just
if
give me
you
five.
focus, yeah, I am. I will. If you're focusing just on his stats, you're gonna be in love with
No, no,
Randall.
no, no, no. I'm not.
You talk about the whole,
I'm
but if you're
looking.
talking about the
I'm look.
whole package, I would
I'm look.
trade him for. Hmm.
I'm looking at the fit. I want to look at the fit because Jeremy Grant. I think that's number
I
one.
would trade him for Jeremy Grant. Now, Jeremy Grant doesn't have the upside that a Julius Randle has, but he's a better fit for this
Better
team.
fit,
He
absolutely.
plays defense. He can hit he's a little
He
inefficient
he
from
he
3-point line too.
he's shaky too, but
Mhm.
he's another one that trajectory has always
Mhm.
gone up.
Mhm.
I'll take him for sure.
Yeah, I would
Who
I
else?
would I would take him. I would take listen, a lot of you want to give me Brandon Ingram who dropped 37
I
points
mean,
last night?
I mean,
Realistic. Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't
Realistic.
consider Ingram just a starter. You know what I mean? And that's what
Yeah.
I mean. Like, but
Right.
yeah, I do that too.
Yeah. Um yeah. Now it depends on how long you're trying to get off his contract. If we took Harrison Barnes, you would have to give me a first. Like I wouldn't just do Barnes for Randall straight up. So but I think Harrison Barnes would fit. He's probably about 30 now though. So again, a lot of this would depend on are the Knicks just trying to make the playoffs or the Knicks trying to clear things out to give their young players um more room to play.
And all right,
And that'd be just you trying to get
Barnes,
off the contract.
and yeah, but yeah, again, that one I don't think we are as successful. I think we're worse, basically. Like like like
We
Grant,
might be.
like Grant. I think we could be better. It's a possibility just off chemistry.
Mhm.
We're not losing much in production, but we
Mhm.
might gain chemistry, which makes the
Mhm.
team just run better. So that's what I mean when I say we could move them for a lot of pieces, but I'm saying something that we're gonna be better, and it's not a dump. If it's just a dump, I'd rather wait a little bit, see if we could boost its value.
That's okay too.
I
I
mean, there's
mean,
a chance it gets worse, but the year we seen from him, I don't think we've seen that from a number one guy on the Knicks. Like you know what I mean. I
but
think
that was
everybody.
last year though. That was I don't think he's gonna ever have another season like
No,
that.
no. I'm talking about this year.
Oh, oh,
His demeanor, his actions. We've never
yeah.
seen that before. You know what I mean? Like even when Steph was wilding, he was wilding off the court, away from
Mhm.
basketball. You know what I mean? Like we've never seen anybody wilding on the court, like in the camera.
Right.
Um, it was meltdownish.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. Um,
But you
I
know
hope he
what?
can recover.
But this is the thing, Tony. Well, remember we talked about how worst case scenario, if Kimba or Rose gets hurt, that derails our season. It really significantly decreases our chances of winning. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a risk the Knicks took, and the worst case scenario happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of the same thing with Randall. If Randall doesn't fix that emotionality, whatever that is, it's going to derail our season again. Because because
Well, here's the
if he
thing.
doesn't perform consistently, what's our chances of unseating any of those teams in front of us?
I I agree with you in a sense
Hmm.
because he had some bad stretches in in the year before, right?
Hmm.
He had some stretches where he got booed. Not as many, but my question is, they say winning changes all. So is it a reflection on both sides? Him playing, being able to play through it when we're winning,
Hmm.
even with his bad games, we won some games. You know what I mean? That and that was the difference. Or is it or is it him? Like, which one is causing the other? Is his bad play causing? I'm sorry, I lost what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Is the fact that we're losing frustrating him to the point, getting him to the point where he's becoming, um, well,
Emotional.
it's two things: emotional, but so frustrated that it's like, why even try? We just don't have the pieces. We're just not gonna win this game. It's too hard. You know, is that part of his disengagement, or is it the other way around? For whatever reason, he became disengaged and whatever, and without him playing up to par, we lost. So I get it. Um, um,
He's definitely got to be better. There's no question to it. And I think it's proven that he's gonna be back this year. So at the very least, we're gonna have to figure out, even if he doesn't want to be here, they probably telling him, "Yo, you gotta push your value for us to get what we invested in you."
we lost games primarily because of him. Listen, we lost games primarily
I
because
don't
he
believe that.
wasn't. Yeah, right. But I I would agree in this sense. We lost games because he wasn't his best self. So if you want to say that, because he wasn't his best self, we didn't win as many games as we could have, I'll take that. But if you're saying that, you know, yeah, if you're saying his lack of performance led to us losing games, that I'll take. But if you want to say that there's something he did that made us lose games, I don't know. I think it's more of what he didn't do, which is play up to par.
I think he contributed, but I think there was a lot of contributing factors, a lot of contributing
No doubt
players.
about it.
You
No
know what I
doubt
mean?
about
Like, I mean, does he get the blunt of the blame? Absolutely. You the number one guy,
it. Right.
but even with Fournier, he lived up. Well, let's end this with those two. You pick your player that and their individual uh areas of improvement that they need to work on this off season, and I'll pick mine. Um, let's leave out Mitchell Robinson since we don't know what his future holds as
Hmm.
far as he's our only free agent, right?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, let's leave that.
That I am aware of.
I
Yes.
think it's somebody else, but it might be like the Archie kid or
Right. I believe you're right.
so. Yeah, we'll leave them out. You can go first and pick your player.
Player and what I want him to improve on
Yes. F-
for next season.
And let's do it like this. Everybody plays at their level of play this year, right? But if this one player improves on this,
It takes us to another level.
yeah, yeah.
That's too much. That's too much. You
Not,
was like,
not,
I
not,
don't know
I
about
mean,
that.
I mean, when I say another level, I'm gonna say play in. That's another level, right?
If this player does this, we unseat one of those teams and make it to the play-in. Okay. Um, I'm gonna pick IQ
Mm.
because IQ can be very dynamic. Now, I'm not even talking about him at the point guard position. I'm talking about him going back to his role in that second team. Playing with Derrick Rose. Um, Now he's a better defender. If he doesn't have to play the point guard position because Rose is hand. I mean, they'll switch off because they do that. They'll switch off. He'll get more shots off the catch. And I have to look it up, but I want to say that he's a better shooter off the catch than off the dribble. I have to look that up. I got my cleaning the glass subscription today, so I will look that up. Um, but you have somebody coming off the bench that could drop 20, 25 if they're hot. You have somebody coming off the bench that can get you, 15, 15, 17 points, that can shoot the three, that can get in the lane with the floater, that can find, Obi for the dunk and unlock him, because I think Obi needs that at this point in his development. I think if he's more efficient, he only shot 39% from the field. I think if IQ takes another step, yeah. We already talked about Randle. Like that's a given with
Mm-hmm.
Randle. Like Randle was a given that he needs to step up. I would pick IQ
Nice. You got any numbers? Like,
for him.
yeah, like season numbers.
He would need to get more minutes. Like as much as we say Tibbs Tibbs like him, Tibbs is bringing him along slow because he's not even getting 20 minutes a game. I don't think.
All right, so we'll start with minutes.
Yeah, I would like if we can get his minutes up to around 25, and he could give us like 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, shoot about 45% from the field, 40% from three. Yeah, that's what I would like.
All right, all right. Um, as you was going through, talking about IQ, couldn't help but think that who are our closers? Who have been our closers the past 2 years?
Oh, I thought you was gonna say this year. I was gonna say uh, Rose and Randall.
All right, who have been our ones and two guards, like closing.
Closing, Rose closed, and quickly would close. Yeah,
And who else? One more.
Burks closed too a
And
lot.
Burks.
hmm
All three of our closing guards are from the bench.
That's true.
They've never been our starters the past 2 years.
Yeah,
How that like that's I just thought of that while you was like naming IQ. I'm like, yeah, he's closed for us. And I'm like, and Burks closed for us, and D Rose. And none of these, you know,
yeah.
it's crazy. Um, I'm gonna go with RJ, and I'm gonna get right to it, and I'm gonna give you numbers. He don't gotta be 50, 40, 90, but give me 45, 35, and 85. You give me those three numbers, and
You
you're
said
gonna.
85.
Yep,
Okay.
I'll take 80 from the free throw line. I'll take 80. I'll definitely take 80. I won't even be mad. But
Mhm.
80 got to be like 85 to 90 in the clutch.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll take 80 for the for the year, but you gotta be
Mhm.
85, 90 in the clutch.
Yeah.
And I think you do those three things, and I don't think it's far fetched. I think he could get to 45. I think he could get to 35. He's shown 40 already. You know what I mean? So he could easily average 35. The free throw, I'm not too sure about.
Mhm. He can get to 35, I think, from the field. Excuse me,
No,
from the
no.
3-point line. From the right, from 3-point line. 45% from the field. I would love that.
Yeah, and that's not great, but that just shows a overall improvement. You know what I mean? Like that would be a career best. So I would like that. Show me a career best. So 45 or better, 35 or better. I'll take 80 from the line, but you gotta be close to 90 in the clutch. And I think with those numbers there, he'll average close to 25 a game.
If
So
he's
give me,
efficient enough. Yeah.
I mean, with those numbers, with
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I think
Provided he
that's
gets the same number, you know, decent enough shots depending on who else we bring in.
hmm
But yeah, I mean, he's still
hmm
gonna get his, you know. Yeah,
and
he's
then
gonna.
and then give me 5 assists. That's asking a lot, but I want five consistently. And and
The
and
rest of them got to get their shooting percentage up. I mean, across the board, we're shooting like 40%, 39%. So to get an assist, you got to make a basket too.
that is true, but part of that is a good pass. A good pass make a bad shooter shoot a good shot sometimes. You know what I mean? Like if it's right on point, I
Hmm.
mean you feel confident in it.
Hmm.
It might not go in, but it's gonna be closer than normal. Like and a bad one, you know what I mean? It messes up a shot a lot,
Yeah.
wide open or not. You know what I mean? When you gotta adjust to retrieve the ball, it takes you out of motion, out of rhythm. And I'm not blaming him in particular. I'm saying as a team, we threw a lot of bad passes that led to bad open shots.
No, yeah, no doubt. Especially Randle with the knuckleball.
Still be like, yo, he be steaming it at it be so hard, so fast and whatever.
Let me shout out the chat. Shout out to Keith Turner, Beats by Frank, Knicks 100 a GM, Rayology, JJ. Appreciate y'all rocking with us today. Geraldine MacGyver was in here as always supporting MBK, Andre, Martin Pierre, Muas. I know I didn't say that right. Gerald, Charlotte, Dan H, Howard Smith. Appreciate you all rocking with us. Um, Reality said Cam is the X factor. I think he is an X factor. And you know what? It's possible he can even beat out Rose in training camp. It's possible. I mean, we saying I can't
I
hear you.
mean, can beat out Rose though.
No, no, no. I meant to say Burks.
Okay.
Um, I meant to say Burks. He, we want to get rid of. This is the thing I don't like. I don't like clearing the runway
hmm
for a prospect or a
Make him
player.
earn it.
No. However, if you believe that the player is finally at the place where they can start, then I do think you should move the player that's in front of them. So if the Knicks believe that Cam Reddish is at that point after seeing him and watching tape, I'm sure they watch tape, Tibbs watch tape from Atlanta, they feel like he's at that point where he can start, then yes, you should move Burks. But I hear a lot of fans say we should move people just to give them space to develop. Nah, we're not using the game as a scrimmage. You know, if you're ready, we'll move the person in front of you. But we're not moving them just so you can get more time to figure out if you're ready. That's not something I really believe in.
His injury is probably like the biggest nick of the season for me. Like
Who's that?
it's
Cam.
Cam, because the opportunity he would have got, you know what I mean, just to showcase, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, like it could have answered a lot of questions for the
Mhm.
fans, for the
Mhm.
organization, for Tibbs. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He could have had a prime opportunity, like
Right.
if
Like
he
Obi did to
like
kind
Obi
of
did,
cross over and change his mind.
exactly, and make
Mhm.
this like a really, you know, like let me ask you this: if we saw in the short stretch, the last 10 games,
Mhm.
what we saw from Obi combined with that type of performance, I'll say slightly better from Cam in that same stretch.
Mhm.
And the same thing we saw from IQ. Would you be more inclined to say maybe these guys are ready, or or
Yeah. Yeah, I would be.
yeah, I'm so mad he didn't get that opportunity. I would have liked for Grimes to be there too, but I felt like Grimes already worked his way in. You know what I mean? He already kind of earned
Mhm.
his spot in the rotation. I
Mhm.
think Cam kind of was just getting his opportunity and got hurt playing defense hard.
Mhm.
Man,
Yeah, I would have liked to see him, but I'm sure that. Well, I'm gonna say they saw him in practices, but it probably wasn't a lot of practice, and then he got hurt. So Tibbs may not have a good feel for him. But that training camp, they're gonna be working out even before training camp. I think he'll
I,
have a good feel, and I think he could beat out Burks. Why? If you can't beat, I mean, I get that Burks is a veteran. He has that veteran savvy, but when you look at his stats, I guess it's more than stats. He probably, he can match him in stats, but can he?
I think he does very. He's probably the closest person to do what Burks does on
Right,
our court, and then he
right,
does it with more size. You,
right.
you know, you know what I mean? Like quickly might have been the next one after. You know
Mhm,
what I mean? But Cam does that for real. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
can handle the ball a little bit. I don't know if Tibbs would put him at point. I hope not. But but he can handle the ball a little bit. He's very crafty at the rim, maneuvering to the rim. Can shoot the ball well. Can shoot off the dribble. Create his own shot. He's not as seasoned as Burke, obviously,
right,
but
right.
I think he does. He's the only one that kind of, if you say one game is like, I'm not saying he emulated, but looks similar like that. It's
Mhm,
them two.
yeah.
Um,
Do you
with
think Grimes could beat out Fournier, or do you think that if Fournier went to the bench, it would be just because of matchups and just trying to um,
I I
maximize his game in that second unit?
I do think Grimes can beat out Fournier.
Mhm,
Um, I don't know if he could do it like consistently or as a like beat him out to the starter's job. I don't
mhm,
know,
mhm,
but beat him out as far as like getting pulled for him early and things of that nature.
mhm,
I definitely think so. Or like Fournier not playing down the stretch and him playing because he's playing well. I think so.
mhm,
But more importantly, I think he has to beat out quickly because I think I still think, especially if we bring it in a point guard, I think that mitigates that puts quickly back in the two spot. I don't know
mhm,
if Grimes is really gonna play that much at the three spot.
mhm.
Uh,
Cam is a three. He's a small forward. I don't. I
yeah,
mean,
but that's what I'm saying. Grimes and quickly they're gonna be competing between like who's gonna play
if we
after
pick up a point guard,
or in front, yeah, or in front
if
of
we pick up a
Fournier.
point guard, I mean, maybe Rose is the one that need to go. Again, it all depends on what we're trying to, what we're trying
Mm-hmm.
to do next season.
And and
Richard
and
Shomo, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think we know what he can do. I think we've seen him at Duke. We've seen him a little bit at Atlanta. And my question still is, why did Atlanta choose DeAndre Hunter over Cam Reddish? Because Cam Reddish has the highest ceiling, in my opinion.
I agree. I think Hunter is. I think Hunter has a higher floor.
And that's what that is absolutely right. You know what you're getting out of him every
every
single
single night. Like you
night.
don't gotta ask him for too much more. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
true.
if,
That's
if he
true.
if he develops it tomorrow, yes, you know what
But
I
you
mean.
know what
But
you're getting every
he's
day.
good. He's good right
Yeah.
there. Just
And he
just do
changes
that.
the game defensively.
Yeah,
I don't know about changes the game, but he's a very good defensive player and he's
yeah.
versatile.
Yeah,
He could play. Remember, he played Randle,
yeah,
RJ.
yeah. And
And
he's
I think
he's
one time they put him on Derrick Rose, the point guard,
and he's
in that
big
series.
and he's big and strong and long. You know what I mean? Like so,
Hmm.
like Cam, he still has to fill out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like he hasn't reached his
yeah,
pause man potential. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he's still like that dude. DeAndre is already like all right.
yeah. And
He
he's
look.
getting efficient too. Last year, he shot 36.5% from the field, 36 and a half,
Mm,
26% from three.
yeah,
This
but
year, he brought it up to 40% from the field. Still, we got all of these 40% shooters and 35.9% from three. So he needs more, he needs more development. He needs more, coming into his own. And maybe next season could be that season for him.
and that's what the tricky part is though, because you don't want to give it to him, and that's why I feel so bad because he had the opportunity. I feel like he got to earn that opportunity all over again. I feel like I hate to say it because it's not a good comparison, but I feel like with Frank, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's like there every time, and this might be his whole career, you know what I mean? But every time you get that opportunity, you get hurt.
Yeah. I I I agree. I don't I gotta see Cam more. Beats by Frank. Efficiency is horrible. He's a project, but a lot of potential. I mean, project might be a little strong, but he's definitely not close to being a finished product. Um,
Honest for
for
his
sure.
stats. Oh, I was just reading Rayology. It said
Yeah.
he's Cam's a rhythm player. His
Hmm.
minutes are honest for his stats. Um, but again, that just really means he needs the minutes to kind of get into rhythm. Like he's not going to be one of those plug and play guys. He needs to kind of be a sure part of the rotation. A sure
But he
we
got to
got
earn
some
that
we
20.
got decisions to make though. We do because you talk about a starter. We just brought in 18, I think what close to 18 million a year in Fournier,
Mhm.
who I could argue that he did everything he came here to do, breaking the single season 3-point record. Like he could say that's what I came here for. I did my job, but
Mhm.
when you're not playing fourth quarters,
Right.
any given night
Hmm.
when you can't play down the stretch because the coach feels like you're a defensive liability. I don't know if that's the coach making a mistake or you being a liability and that being the reason. But that's not good. That's a problem to me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like oh man, I think Fournier is gonna be my guy for next week on the crossover. I think I'm gonna say what he needs to
What
kind
he
of improve on to make a difference moving forward
right.
because That's
Yeah,
upsetting.
it is. Um, I'm gonna do a shameless plug. So tomorrow on my channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, we'll be talking just this. What's how are the Knicks gonna best address the um the shooting guard, not even the shooting guard, the wing position, shooting guard, small forward. I think it's only one hole to plug in that starting lineup because RJ has one of them. Um, but then there's the second unit as well. So how best should we address that? So those who haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Dope Soul Sports Talk. Hit that notification button. I'm going live tomorrow around 6:30 p.m.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You know what? I want to shameless plug Nicks and Bruises. If you're not subscribed, go to Nicks and Bruises on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the like button, share. I'm streaming on both channels tonight. I'm on Nicks and Bruises. I'm on Nothing But Nicks. Shout out to Sim, the
That's
Podfather.
right. Shout out to
Um,
Sam.
we got an episode tomorrow night, maybe 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock. Nicks and Bruises. Look out for that. We're gonna talk some more off season stuff. So appreciate you, Queen. It's
Appreciate
another
you as
another good
always.
good episode. Next week I'm talking Fournier. So if I forget, Queen, you remind me, chat. If I
Okay.
forget, y'all remind me. Fournier, what he needs to do to improve and be an impact on
If he's here, I think he will be here.
yeah, yeah. But I
I
mean
think
if he's
Burks
here.
is most likely to be traded.
That's so interesting. Before we go,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
talk
yeah, yeah,
about that real quick.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because what does that say? What do you think says more? You give a guy 18 million and he can't play fourth quarters at times. The whole defensive liability thing I just spoke about. Or you give a guy 10 million to be a six-man scoring wing but end up putting him in the starter's position at the point guard, out of position for the full year. So now already was a closer at times. You know, basically jack of all trades, plug and play, whatever. So wouldn't you think it would be more valuable? And I'm thinking as an organization, you think it's more valuable to move the guy that has less money and kind of just does whatever role you put him in, or the guy who's making a little bit more money is an expert at what he does, you know what I mean? But kind of doesn't really do anything else. So if he's not doing that, I,
He could do more offensively, though. I think our offense
I,
just
I,
is not
I,
there
I,
for it.
I, I agree. He can do more, but he's an expert at one thing. you,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like he could do a little bit more. I can't front, but and he got more years on the contract.
Yeah, he has two
So
years before he becomes. I think it's a team
yeah,
option. The fourth year.
yeah. Excuse me. Um,
You mean what looks bad for the front office?
I mean, either way, what looks bad for the front office, or as the front office, would you be trying to move Burks more than move Fournier, knowing the value of the player and the contract? Because I think dollar for dollar, Burks does more. But I mean, I can make an argument they should switch salaries because of the value
that val-
the
that Burks.
value the value of the player.
Nah, 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 nah. Burks is too. I mean, he was in a. Maybe you could say he was in a slump. When Burks plays well, you're right. He contributes in multiple categories, and he's a pretty good defender. He'll have like 15 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 3-pointers. You know, so. But I don't think him being in the starting lineup disrupted all of that. I don't think that was the reason we didn't see that consistently. I just think he was just had an off year.
You saying Fournier or Burks?
No, Burks. Burks. I don't think like Burks can contribute in multiple categories. I don't think him playing a point guard was the sole reason why his shooting was off and things of that. So he was just in a slump.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Well, you keep saying you think Burks is gone. You rather move Burks. I'm saying as the front office, wouldn't it be more valuable to keep Burks and move Fournier? He does.
I think
He does.
he does a lot. You
He
don't think you
does a
could find
lot
another
more.
you don't think you could find another Burks?
I like Fournier too, so I'm not even like tripping on him. But Burks does. He does. Again, he may not be an expert at anything. You know what I mean?
Right,
But he
right.
does multiple things well.
Yeah. Yeah,
You,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
I mean, you can argue that you could put Grimes in Fournier's spot and get that same I don't know. It's just going to be his
You
second
probably
year
you
in the
probably
league.
you
I don't think
probably yeah, you're not gonna get the veteran
mm-mm,
know how and you
right.
know
You're
what I
not going
mean.
to
You're
get
not
that.
gonna get that veteran confidence where he can shoot through a slump. You know what I mean. He might not shoot after missing three in a row. We already seen that from him. So you're not gonna get the same
Yeah.
thing. But again, you might get it. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but you're gonna get better defense. You know what I mean? You're gonna get other things.
I mean, if
That
you think Grimes is ready to start in that position, then I'm okay with trading Fournier and keeping Burks. If you feel Grimes is ready, or if you feel Cam is ready, if you feel Cam is ready to play next to RJ, then I'm okay.
I don't think they have to be ready to start because I think Burks can start, especially if it's not at the point guard. I think he's better suited.
But we so
I
short with the
I I,
6'6" wings though.
again, it would have to be two. It would have to be RJ still at the three. But again, I'm saying can they don't have to be ready to start because Burks is ready. If they ready, yeah, put them in.
Hmm.
But they don't have to be ready to start. They just gotta be ready to play. They got you know what I mean. You know what I
Right,
mean. If they are ready to start, I have no problem with them starting.
right, right, right.
But
But Sean DeCosta shout out brings up a good point. We have multiple backup wings to choose from, Cam, Grimes, but not many options replacing Fournier in that starting lineup. So Burks in a package gets us a good piece, especially if Mitch leaves. So you think Burks would get us a starter to start alongside RJ?
no, I'm thinking he's saying keeping Fournier because he can start Burks
Because we
and
got a lot of
Mitch.
okay,
Yeah, I think he's saying like Burks and Mitch
got you.
might get us. You think that gives us Turner
Burks? No.
and Mitch sign and trade?
Oh, a signing. Oh yeah, it could. It could. It might. It might depends on how much they want to move off of Miles Turner and how valuable they think Mitch is. Remember, Mitch is not a stretch five. A lot of teams covered that. Um, he's a traditional five. Not even a traditional five because he's not going to be in the post. But he's going to defend,
And
block shots, and rim run.
last thing before we get out of here, what do you think of the all the guards in Orlando? I don't think they can keep all these young guards. Um, anyone intrigue you? Anyone you
Yeah,
think that would be realistically we able to move forward and get? Because one of the first things that came to my mind is, moving this year's first round pick, and maybe it costs another first round pick. But I mean, I think folks is there. uh, Cole Anthony,
Hmm.
uh,
And the
rookie this year, right?
Suggs.
Slugs. I mean,
I would like, what is it, Fultz?
hmm
I would like Fultz. The thing about it is you would have to groom him. I don't know if he's ready to come in and start right now. Maybe. I mean, we would have to see him in training camp. But I do like his size, and I was watching him, for about maybe 2 or 3 games when he came back this season. Because remember, he was injured most of the season.
hmm hmm
Um, his shot looks better. Remember, they were saying it was broke at one
hmm
point. His shot looks better. His ability to get into the lane, I saw that. His playmaking ability, I saw that. I don't know if he's close to starting, but I would be interested in him. Now, the question is, would you give up a first for him? But you're saying multiple firsts.
I think folks maybe this year's first gets it done. Um, Cole, I think it's this year and something else to make that happen. And I don't think Suggs is on the table.
Say that again.
I,
Suggs is
I
on the.
I don't think he's on the table for like
Oh no, no.
I don't think they consider moving him. But
Suggs or Cole Anthony. You think they would consider moving Cole Anthony?
I think this year and another pick is talking point. Like it's not going to just be this year's pick. I think Fultz, it might just be this year's pick. I think he's the next one up to for contract or whatever. You know what I mean? Like at this point, they can move forward and they have people in the spot, but it might not take two picks for Fultz.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think it would take 2 picks for Fultz. And they may like Fultz size, and maybe they want to get off of Cole Anthony. Would you be okay with Cole Anthony? Remember, he's ball dominant. Then you
hmm
got RJ, who's ball dominant, and if Randle is still here, he's ball dominant.
um, the first thing I say is, is he better than the potential guards we have, right? I would
He's
say
gotten
yes.
better this year, but last year he was erratic as well. And
He
his
he
his
he was, and he started bad this year until they played us, and then he went on a crazy run after he went on a crazy run against us. Like that was the game that turned around his whole season. What he did to us, and then boom, he was doing that every day. Um, would I take Cole? I would. I think he's better than any guard we have. I think he is better than any guard we could potentially draft, especially this year. Um, and I mean, you talk about New York ties, all that. Imagine we get this man and Brunson.
they both undersized. Well, I don't know. Isn't Cole Anthony kind of undersized as well?
He's maybe 6'2", 6'1",
Okay.
6'2". You, you,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Yeah, he's a little undersized. They both undersized. Very, very, very similar games, but very different. You know what I mean? Obviously Brunson don't have the explosion.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. They different. They different.
no,
I think
I
the
mean,
size would be a factor for
yeah,
them playing them
yeah.
together, but they could play together because they're different.
No, I mean, Cole come off the bench. He could be the
Mm,
spot. I'm talking about at this point we'd be moving on from Rose or maybe not. Even if it's Rose and Cole, I like that dynamic too because if you want Cole to learn from anybody in this league, it's probably Derrick Rose. I think he has. I don't think he'll be as good, but he has that type of potential. You know what I mean? Like that type of player he could be. Young Derrick Rose.
right. Shout out to Richard Shomo who brings up a good point. No Cole, we have IQ for that. What do you think Cole is better than IQ now? And do you think he has a higher ceiling than IQ.
I think Cole would be a better starting point guard now. I wouldn't. If Cole's off the bench, I would be less likely to want Cole and IQ playing
Mhm,
together off the bench.
mhm. He's 6'3".
Cole is
Mhm.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's
And he shot
undersized.
inefficiently too. He shot 39.3%. Another one. You know, 33.7% from three. He's a good foul shooter, 84.6. But he's inefficient. He's inefficient as well.
Yeah, he he get a little trigger happy.
Right.
He he be testing to see if he's hot a lot.
Yeah. Um, it's going to be interesting to see if they prefer him over Fultz. I think Suggs will stay. You know, this entire off season is going to be interesting. Listen, I think for me, when it comes to IQ and even Obi, I think it's more about the timeline. I think both of those guys with a little more seasoning can start in this league and be good, as starters. It's just a matter of, are they starters right now on a playoff team? That's the only question for me. But in terms of their future, it looks bright for both of them. I do see them as starters in this league.
No, I
Yeah.
hear you.
I mean, IQ could go either way. He can go either way. Because of his size,
I
he
really
would need
like.
to be dynamic to start at the two at 6'3".
Yeah, I want. Yeah, if he's gonna start, I want him to start at the one as well.
Right.
Um, yeah, unless somehow we have a big point guard, like he don't gotta be Ben Simmons, but yeah, if we got a tall point guard, 6'6" point guard, then I don't mind IQ starting at the two. You
Right,
know,
right, right.
but, but yeah, we got to be able to switch some positions. Yeah. With that being said, I think we could get out of here. Great show tonight.
Definitely
I
appreciate you.
had to take a little hiatus and deal with some family business, but I should be back for good, back next week.
Okay.
Back
Yeah,
tomorrow night
Mondays are perfect.
on Knicks and Bruises.
Mhm.
And Queen, you said you on tomorrow. What time tomorrow?
I'm on tomorrow at 6:30.
6:30. Check out Dope Soul Sports Talk.
Yep, you got it.
There you go.
You got it.
Like, subscribe, and we out of here. Peace.